Okay, it's almost 8:35. Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us today. I hope everybody's doing fine, working off-site. We are all in the same boat. We have some of the members of sponsored programs working from the office, but not very many people. Meanwhile, everything seems like it's going smoothly. Proposals going forward, awards are working really well. Thank you very much to all members of sponsored programs who have been working so diligently. I really appreciate it. As usual, we do have a couple of basically updates. Not a whole lot is happening these days, seems like, as far as the updates go, but there is some. And after that, obviously, this is your time to ask questions, and hopefully we will get some questions from you and learn from each other. Let's see. How about if we start with Kelly, the Associate Director responsible for the proposal side. Kelly, do you want to start?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. We have a few reminders for everybody, so I will kind of just start going through them. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to jump on the chat and write them down, and we'll get those answered for you. The first item is that we have an NIH deadline coming up on July 5th. Since that is a Sunday, the 6th, Monday the 6th will be the deadline date that we will need to submit by. We are expecting a few proposal analysts to be out of the office that day, just like I'm sure many people across campus will be out of the office. So we are requesting, to the extent possible, let's try to submit early, Friday, July 2nd if possible. If that's not something that's going to work for the PIs, the 6th is fine. We're just trying to avoid a whole lot of last minute submissions on the 6th, since we are expecting a few people to be out. Again, we'll be here, so if the 2nd doesn't work, the 6th will be fine. And then I also wanted to remind everybody about the 5 o'clock deadline. I know we've talked about it a lot, but we're still seeing some PIs come to us at 4:55 p.m. and ask if we will be available because their submission's not technically due to the sponsor until 9 p.m. We're really working toward achieving a healthy work-life balance for all of our team members, and that's why we have the 5 o'clock deadline. So we do ask that that deadline is adhered to. If you ever have any questions about that deadline, don't hesitate to reach out, but please plan for 5 o'clock submission time, even if the listed time at the sponsor is later than that. And then the third thing I want to remind everybody about, please don't rely on automated system notices to notify SPO that an action is needed. We're going to ask that you contact us directly, either through the proposals email, proposals@ucdavis.edu, or through email to your assigned proposal analyst. We're seeing PIs for some reason are starting to think because 424 sends an automated notice that says that we have access to submit, that we should just go ahead and submit. Or if there's a JIT action in ERA Commons and we get notified that we know we need to do something. We review those notices, but we don't actually take action until the PI has said, yes, I'm ready to proceed. So please make sure that you're not relying on those solely for purposes of submission. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about, we sent an email out a little while ago, but we're seeing some actions come into the proposal inbox through Cayuse where the PI has already submitted the proposal to the sponsor. And I want to reiterate, all proposals should be coming through proposals prior to submission so that we have an opportunity to review them. However, if there's an instance where a PI submits it to the sponsor before coming to proposals and no action is needed on the part of an AOR, so the most common thing we would see is there's a form that an AOR needs to sign. If that's not something that needs to be taken care of, we're asking that you please not submit to sponsor programs until an award has been issued, and then we can negotiate at that point. But it's confusing when we get proposals that have already been submitted, because most of the time the sponsors aren't willing to renegotiate. They consider that proposal action complete, so there's no action to be taken. So that just kind of takes time away from those proposals that we can focus on. So that's what I have for proposals.
Thank you, Kelly. Let me add a little bit to this issue of proposals bypassing the office.
Okay.
I know that sometimes it happens, but it's unfortunate. Please remember that the policy of university, this general policy from OP, that the proposals have to be reviewed in the appropriate contract and grants office of the campus. So they would be reviewed on behalf of the regions and be sent out. So technically speaking, in the situations that Kelly talked about, that if somebody sends a proposal out, and now we get a notice from the PR and from the year or award comes in, and there are terms and conditions contrary to university policy. If we can work them out, we have to return the award. It's just that's the policy of university. So it's not relevant that the PI has worked on it for 6 months and they relied on something and they won the award. And we have been in those situations that we have to return whatever it is if the sponsor is not willing to bring the proposal and award in conformity with the university. We haven't seen that situation recently that often, but it can happen. So you don't want your PI to be the test case. There are situations that, again, proposal goes out, all terms and unfortunate terms and conditions are in the proposal. The position of the sponsor is that, well, university accepted this, but please remember that the PIs do not have delegation of authority to accept anything on behalf of the regions in these areas. It's not only the PI doesn't have that authority, the chairs don't, the deans don't, that's how it is. Delegations are very specific. Now, if the chancellor sends something out, that's different. The chancellor has full delegation to do whatever, but luckily our chancellors know better than that. They are not going to get themselves in those positions. So be very careful about that. It can happen that the award can be rejected. It's just that simple. Thank you for your help. Help your PIs to understand that. Okay, any questions for Kelly? I don't see any.
There was one comment, which I've asked for a little bit of elaboration, but Gwen had indicated that there was a big change from how things used to operate. And I'm not exactly sure which topic she was talking about. I'm thinking the after the fact process, which I don't believe we've really changed anything, have we?
Yeah, we need a little bit more information, Gwen. I don't know why it is that you think things have changed. So if you give us a little bit more, maybe we can try to figure out what the answer might be.
Okay, so, she's adding some information here.
Okay, if it is going to take some time, we can just go to the next issue.
I think I understand the question. She's talking about that they did not have to notify sponsor programs to look into the sponsor systems to find an action that SPO receives notice of. So she was talking about those sponsor notices, Kelly.
Okay. In the time that I've been at sponsor programs for the last 2 years, we have never taken an automated system notification as approval to proceed. It may be that the assigned proposal analyst was corresponding directly with the PI to get confirmation that we were able to submit or that there was action we needed to take. So that's probably the likely case, but again, we've never taken an automated system notice as final approval for any action.
Okay, hopefully that answers the question. Let's see, the next update is from awards. Grace, you want to give your update, please?
All right, good morning, everybody. I do have some interesting updates. This is in regards to charging grants and costs to federal sponsored awards. Okay, this is obviously something that's very interesting to everyone. As you'll remember, in March, when we all went on the lockdown, OMB passed a memo, passed several memos, but the one I'm referring to is 20-001, 17 titled Administrative Relief for Recipients and Applicants of Federal Financial Assistance Directly Impacted by the Novel Coronavirus Due to Loss of Operations. And in that memo, M20-17, OMB addresses charging salary and non-salary non-refundable costs to awards. And we've posted the guidance on our OR website, and UCOP has also issued similar guidance, which is that you should continue to charge salaries and benefits during this period, even when no work could be performed due to COVID-19. All right, well, 20-17 was only in effect for 90 days. And on June 18th, OMB issued an updated memo that extended the the guidance in M20-17 to the end of September. So that goes to September 30th. All right, so that same flexibility of charging salaries, benefits, and non-refundable costs to federal awards is extended through September 30th. Okay, but they also issued something else, which is that, okay, and I'll have to kind of read this a little bit, I'll shorten it. Due to the limited funding resources under each federal award, awarding agencies must inform recipients to exhaust other available funding sources to sustain its workforce and implement necessary steps to save overall operational costs, such as reducing rent, during this pandemic period in order to preserve federal funds for the ramp-up effort. Recipients should retain documentation of their efforts to exhaust other funding sources and reduce overall operational costs. So basically, from this period on, now through September 30th, they're asking you to please exhaust your other resources before charging your federal awards. Okay, I know that's a little bit ambiguous, but that is what they're asking for. And they're asking that we retain the documentation for reducing our costs before charging federal awards. Okay, so I'm just passing that on. And I see that Cindy has unmuted herself, which probably means she has something to add.
Actually, I unmuted.
Good morning, Cindy.
Good morning. I unmuted because I was asked to, so I don't know why I was asked to unmute.
Well, I don't know if you have anything on this one here, but we have a related question regarding state that you were going to comment on later. Maybe, no, I don't know if you want to come back.
Now the right time? Oh, okay. When it comes to your state contracts, I know our SGR, our state government representatives have been trying to get a kind of a statewide solution for charging to our state contracts and grants. It does not appear that they've been successful thus far. So the guidance on your state agreements remains from what we talked about at our last town hall, that if you're using the administrative leave for COVID-19, you continue to use that on your state contracts. It's an approved leave of the institution. If individuals are unable to work on those projects and so have to use the leave, again, that leave is available until December of 2020. So we're going to treat it as any other leave that we would similarly charge time to grants and contracts for. So really what we're looking at now, and I don't know, I think I see James Ringo on here, and maybe he can help me, but on our state contracts, when we invoice for time on our salaries and things, do we actually break it out by vacation time, work time, sick time, and now COVID-19 time, or does it just say salary? So the agencies may, if we don't do that, James, then they may not even pick up on the fact that it is, leave-based salary.
So, of course, the answer is it depends.
Right.
Right, depending on the agency. So, no, on the invoice itself, we don't break out all of those categories. However, some agencies, require all the supporting ledger backup and the payroll ledger, et cetera, in which case they would have this ability to to those categories.
Right.
We haven't really had any pushback, to my knowledge. Well, maybe there's one agency that pushes back on everything, but but specifically to this topic, I don't think we've had any questions coming in. They may just have not really recognized what they're looking at or whatever.
Right. So I think the risk we're taking here is that this could be caught during either a desk audit or a project-based audit later on, and they would try to disallow costs. But I think we continue on the path that we've been on. Again, SGR hasn't been able to get a more definitive, uniform approach from all of our state agencies to date. And so I think they've been, there's a lot of other things going on right now with, the state budgets and everything else. And so working on those really big, hairy issues right now that I think are very important. So if it comes to an audit situation, then we will argue our points, which we charge you based on our overall policy that allows for this on all fund sources consistently. And that's what we do, is we treat things consistently.
Thank you, Cindy. That was that was a question that had come in earlier, and hopefully the individual who had asked the question is online here and they heard the answer. So the bottom line is that keep charging and we'll go forward.
Yes.
Okay. Grace, did you have anything else that you were going to talk about?
No, nothing else. We're busy. We're still busy, even though state contracts have slowed down. This is the end of the state fiscal year, June 30th. So award site is busy right now.
Okay, thank you. James Ringo from accounting. Good morning, James.
Good morning. I've turned everything back on here. Still trying to eat I didn't want people watching me eat my breakfast, so push that aside. Okay, so I had one question that was posed. Someone wanted some updates on where the F&A rate proposal renewal negotiations stands. I checked in on that question, and we had submitted all the paperwork, the documentation, long time ago, more than a year ago. The initial set of questions had been received from DCA like a week before the, I'll call it the campus shutdown. I know that's an overstatement, but before we all went to work from home. So we had to kind of hit the pause button on getting back to DCA on that. They are now trying to restart that effort to get DCA the answers that they need on their initial set of questions. And then, of course, it'll go from there. Mike LeGrand gave me a ballpark estimate of maybe we'll have a new rate in 8 months to a year. So that's what I know.
The question actually had to do with this is the first time in many years that we have been going, using the provisional for a long time.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. So the answer to that is when they establish the new rate, we won't be going back and trying to adjust those awards that are issued with provisional rates up to the new rate agreements, and that we'll try to, schedule it so that there will be no impact from that transition. So you'll have an advance notice for what the awards coming in need to be.
Okay.
Okay, so that was one topic. The other thing that I wanted to mention is we're working on a communication that should get out today or tomorrow, hopefully, to try to clarify and help campus understand what CGA is able to do to assist with the ongoing problems that we're facing with UCPath and not being able to do the direct retro transfers. There was a draft communication that was not ready for prime time that did kind of get sent out yesterday somehow. So the basic information there is basically correct, but if you have that memo, I would say just kind of pause and wait for a more complete and clarified communication to come out. You know, what some of the things that I wanted to point out is, you know, we get questions every month. We send out notices that, you know, there are overdrafts on various funds, and it's becoming more and more common. It seems that one of the underlying causes there is some limitation, you know, in UCPath that's preventing people from cleaning those up. So, you know, just make a note of that. We're not going to press on those at all. With the same thing with the year-end physical close overdraft process, you know, we'll just let those roll through the normal close process. So you don't need to worry about having to clear those overdrafts if they're really tied to the inability of you know, your inability to process through UCPath. One thing that I have said before, and we're trying to clarify, is that there may be situations where it actually is necessary for us to do a JV to try to get information on the ledger so that we can share that with a sponsor and show that we have these expenses that we're billing for, especially important at closeout time. So in those cases, again, you know, there needs to be coordination and communication between the department and the CGA fund analyst to figure out whether or not it's really needed. And there may be other cases where you'd want to be able to do that. Our intent is not to try to, you know, we have a bandwidth problem, if you will, within CGA. So we're not going to be going in and clearing out the default accounts for you. That's kind of outside the scope of what we're able to do. I understand there may be some other processes that are being looked at that will take care of that so that it doesn't have, you know, impact on physical close, so that when the balances roll, you won't have problems. I'm not an expert in that area on the non-CGA side, but I do think that there might be something happening on that front. I just don't have the details there. So that's kind of what I know on that. You know, again, we have multiple vacancies, so we're doing our best to keep up with the awards that are coming in. I think we're doing a really good job. As always, you know, expect that, you know, we're going to need about 5, say a week to get a new award fully set up and ready to go. Typically less than that, but, you know, I wouldn't hit the panic button until, you know, about 5 working days have gone by. That said, of course, if you do have a special situation where you really do need something set up, we can try to work with you to prioritize it. But, you know, of course, we can't prioritize everything. So please understand that we do need a little bit of time to work those things through. I think those were my comments. I see a couple of things. I don't know if they're for.
I know you have one question there for sure, James. Mary Kilpatrick has asked you, she says, one of our PIs with a large lab group has been using EAL. However, it appears EAL does not credit the grant as does vacation. Therefore, it continues to reduce available grant funding. She wants to know what the options are for reducing salaries in order to preserve grant funding moving forward, and what other researchers are doing.
I'm not sure. First of all, what's EAL? Is that extended? What is that? Is that a leave? Is that one of the new leave?
Yeah, that is the COVID-19 related leave.
Is that the leave code?
Mm-hmm.
The 128 days or the, there's like 7 different.
I know, there's different.
There's so many flavors. I mean, to be honest, I'm not going to be able to answer this off the top of my head. I have to go maybe ask some questions, and I don't really know what other how other units are.
Yeah, I haven't heard that we're planning on moving these leaves into our overall fringe rates. Is it related to that?
Oh, is that? Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that.
No.
I hear the overarching concern, though, that if you're charging this, the person's not working, so progress isn't being made on the grant, and yet the grant funds
Still paying.
go down. And yeah, this question's been asked pretty frequently about what do we do about that, because we won't have enough money to actually finish the project the way it was proposed. And I understand that our agencies understand that. They've told us that, you know, because of what's happening right now, they actually don't expect the same level of productivity because of all the constraints, not just idle time, if you want to call it that, but also having fewer people in the lab at any given time. You know, the additional PPE that people are wearing takes additional effort. So yes, there's going to be an impact on productivity, and I think agencies understand this, and they've expressed that they understand it. And so your job is to make sure that at the appropriate times you're reporting in RPPR or however they require their reports the situation on your grants. So, you know, what technical progress have you made? What did you not do because of this? And you let them know the impacts. That's what our job is now. And that's what faculty should be doing across the board. If you see that there's going to be a really serious impact to your grant, like complete shutdown or something like that, or because it's seasonal and you couldn't do it, and so it extends it a year, a lot of our federal agencies have already said 1 year no cost extensions under the OMB flexibilities. Your state agencies, you'd need to actually ask for that. And the sooner you ask for that, the better, right? And the sooner, you know, so communicate with your program officers so they understand impacts. That's what they want right now. The expectation isn't that, oh, you're going to get all the specific aims done in the same time frame that you originally proposed with the, you know, with what's going on right now. So I'm hoping that alleviates some of the stress around this, but that's really what we're hearing from most of our federal sponsors and some of our state ones.
Lenora just put a link in for information on the benefit redirect that may be helpful for people. Thank you, Lenora.
Oh, okay, great.
And then we have one, let's see. So this is going on about it. There's how our invoices to agencies regarding this, and there's more about that. But I think that Lenora's information, what you've provided, should address that information. There's another question for James that's not related to this, and it's that we recently learned that the benefits diversion process in Quali for postdoc fellow doc doesn't interface with UC Path anymore. So we do not process the benefits diversion, but let UC Path help desk know instead when such case comes up. And that's a question. Is that how they handle that?
I think that would be an appropriate way to do it. Let the help desk know that there's an issue. Again, I don't know the details here, and actually, Lenora, if you're listening, if there's anything you can add specific to that question.
Lenora just said that information is in the link that she just sent as well.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, anything else for James?
Can you clarify which help desk?
The UC Path help desk. Deborah, is that enough clarification, or would you like to clarify further?
I think that's good. I don't see another question. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Let's see. I think that's basically what we had. I see members of our sister offices here, like IRB and maybe compliance. Does anybody else have any update that they want to share from those other offices?
Ahmad, real quick, we have one more question that just came in, and I think it's probably for James. Can we get an update on how tuition diversion is working?
Maybe what I can do is invite the UC Path team to maybe present it at a future forum. I can't give an update on those details. And I don't know if any of my team that's on is ready and able to share any knowledge there. So maybe if I could collect, oh, Cindy, I'm sorry, did you want to add? I mean, if we could collect, you know, where you all would like some clarifications as far as the UC Path processes, we could compile those and perhaps get a UC Path expert over to share that. I'm not a UC Path expert, obviously.
You have another question in there, James.
Too different. That gets tricky. So the question is, can we parse out the CBR to different fund sources? So, I mean, I'm assuming if there's a part of the CBR that's coming through that is unallowed, we need to move it off. Farm, I think we want to know what your situation is here. I mean, we can always work with what's hitting the ledger. If there's some part that shouldn't be there for some reason, we can do manual calculations if necessary. It's better if we can get the system to deal with it, of course, so we're not going down rabbit holes there. It might be in the read, you know, Lenora had shared that link on the redirects, so I'm not sure that there may be information in there as well. Yes, Farm, yeah, please go ahead and contact us. And I'm sorry, Cindy, I don't know if you were.
No, I was going to move on to a different topic.
Okay.
All
right, please.
So I was waiting for you to finish. I was waiting for you to finish. So my topic has to do with you know, foreign influence and international employment here at UC Davis. Many of you have already seen the notice, but an executive order came out on immigration visas this week, proclamation suspending entry of aliens who present a risk to the U.S. labor market following coronavirus outbreak. So there are a number of restrictions that have just been laid out on H-1B, 2B, and 4 visas, and J visas, which include interns, trainees, teachers, professors, camp counselors, au pairs, or summer work. And it does not suspend J1 visas, which would include our student visas. So students can still come, but the faculty can't, apparently. So this is creating significant issues. We're still trying to figure out how significant. But on the sponsored research side, as your units, colleges, departments work through what this means for you and what it means for the faculty who come from other countries, and you expected them to come back in the fall, or you know, those kinds of things, as you start to arrange alternate, perhaps working mechanisms, if it involves sponsored research from our federal sponsors, and someone's going to be working in a foreign country in the fall, in order to complete the work, please make certain that you follow your sponsor's requirements to get prior approval for, like NIH calls it, a foreign component on your grant, and it requires prior approval. to have them working in another country and being paid off of the grant. So I just wanted to put it out there so that you're aware, work with your sponsored programs analysts to make sure that those appropriate notifications go to the federal agencies. And yeah, it's a crazy time we're in, right? So I just wanted to put that out there so it doesn't slip through the radar when those things happen. I think that's what I had. I guess on the foreign influence front, just again, if you know faculty are engaged in international activities or have international funding or those kinds of things, just please remind them, have you updated your conflict of interest and your conflict of commitment disclosures? If you're receiving anything outside, have you reported this to your sponsor in your RPPRs or in your grant proposals? Again, this is an area of compliance that rather than slowing down during COVID-19 closures has actually sped up significantly, and there are a lot of investigations. If faculty have questions or concerns, feel free to have them call me. I'm happy to talk to them and talk through things. And if something was inadvertently left out of a proposal application, I'm happy to work with them, with the sponsor to, make that make those just administrative changes and edits that are appropriate without. It's when you hide it and aren't transparent, right, that you get into trouble, and because they consider it a violation of the Federal False Claims Act if it's not in those your proposals or if you're not disclosing that. So we'd rather work with the faculty to make sure this goes smoothly and nobody gets into trouble, as opposed to downstream a gotcha by the federal government. So anyway, that's my foreign influence update. I don't know, does IRB or IACUC have any updates? I see John on video.
Actually, I've been remiss. I have not introduced everyone to our two new staff members, and I apologize for that. We've added Christy Lundahl, who is going to be an integral part of our Reliance group and help us, with full staffing now to move forward. And we have also added Stephanie Falwell, who will be helping with education and screening and study evaluation. So we're just about up to full employment again.
That's great. I wish sponsored programs could say that. Sponsored programs right now have.
Yeah, and CGA too, right? Not to call her out, but I did want to do a call out to Amy Holtzman. I think it's her last week is playing the role in the internal audit office. She has been an amazing partner in helping us with external audits with many of our sponsors. And I just wanted to say thank you so much as you move on to your new position. And so I see you here, and I just wanted to do that shout out to you. And thanks for all of the help you've provided.
Cindy, can I second that? I mean, Amy's just been amazing over the last, how many years has it been, Amy, since she came over to extramural for a little bit and then returned over to audit with all of that knowledge that she'd gleaned from her time. I would think she was with us for about a year. It's just been wonderful, and I wish Amy the best and great times in her retirement.
Well, thank you. Those are some really nice words. Yeah, it's been about 10 years. I think then I've been in the external audit coordinator role. It's really been an honor and a privilege to work with so many of you. I've appreciated your dedication and sometimes often extraordinary and heroic efforts when it comes to external audits. Some have been very challenging. But Audit and Management Advisory Services will continue providing external audit coordination and they've set up an email, externalaudits@ucdavis.edu. So similar to like if you wanted to contact, you know, a unit in Office of Research or Finance, you can send that email out, and then Tony Furpo, who is the Associate Director at Audit, he'll kind of triage and determine who in our office will go ahead and coordinate. But I'll put that down as soon as I turn my video off. I'll put that down in the chat so you have that information.
It's actually already there. Sponsor program's already posted.
Oh,
it's there.
Oh, nice. Perfect. I don't even have to do that. Okay. But thank you again. Yeah, right off into the sunset and enjoy retirement.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Ahmad and James, did you see after that something else exciting? There is another question, I think, for James from Devin. It's asking about payroll on closed federal grants that won't direct retro. So do you see that question there?
Yeah, I'm reading it right now. Yeah, yes, please. If you do think you have a situation, well, first you might just, ping us, but this sounds like something where it might be necessary for us to take action. Thank you, Devin, for asking that, because we do have that form on our website, and maybe if Lenora or Deborah could just post that link to the high risk, quote unquote, high risk transfer pre-approval form. We do need that to really identify the specific, pay transactions that you're wanting to move. I think we introduced that form, it was before we went remote, so 4 or 5 months ago, maybe. But yes, that'd be great.
Okay, anything else from anybody? Any questions for any of us? No? Well, if there's nothing else, then I guess we would meet again. I think the next meeting is July 22nd, the next forum. Between now and then, maybe lots of things would change. We are entering a new fiscal year, and I wish the fiscal year is better than this fiscal year as it's coming in. We will be here, we will be serving the campus, so let's stay in touch, work together, and we will get through this. Cindy, anything else that you might have? You are mute.
Yeah, no, nothing else.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Let's go back and serve the campus that we serve. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.